And start recording. There we go. Hello, welcome to the Honest Wargamer. I'm your host, Rob, and today I have the auspicious pleasure of talking to a gentleman I've been trying to talk to. Well, mainly he's been trying to talk to me, but a gentleman who I wanted to talk to very much. Chris from the Mortally Wounded podcast. Chris?
Yes.
Welcome to the show.
How you going? I finally managed to trap you in a dark room and talk to you against your will.
I think I've worked out that Tuesdays are my day. I have 2 international calls today, one before I DJ, one after I DJ. So that's my thing now. So I've worked out when to do it. But I am terrible at organising, so feel free to say that. But first off, who are you? And tell us all about you, because I'm a fan. I just want to tell you that.
So, yeah, I'm Chris Welfare, host of Mortally Wounded podcast over here. Just
where's over
general
here?
Person. Over here, Australia, mate.
Australia.
Yes, I'm one of the Australians that's terribly British. So yeah, it's kind of weird whenever I talk about the scene in Australia and then people hear me talk and it's like, yeah, you're not Australian though. No. I moved here because there's nice weather and stuff here. So yeah, that's definitely a thing that you don't have in the UK. Well, you get maybe once every 10,000 years.
We've had a really great summer, thank you. Yeah, global warming's doing great work for the UK. It's fab.
Yeah. I have to laugh when everyone's like, "Oh, it's 25 degrees. Oh, I'm dying in this heat wave." Meanwhile, it's like 21 degrees here, and I'm like, "Oh, I might go put a jumper on." It's a bit cold now.
Bit cold. So go on. Please continue to introduce yourself.
Yeah, basically, I've been playing fantasy since like 6, I think, and just always stuck with it. Always played fantasy in Lord of the Rings. Never cared about 40k, to be honest.
Bunch of rooty tooty shooter tooters, aren't they?
Yeah, it's I don't know why. Just for some reason I see a Space Marine and I'm just like, oh fuck, I don't care. But I can see a Liberator that looks basically the same. He just has a hammer instead of a gun, and I'm like, ooh, he's shiny. So yeah, I don't know, but yeah. So I just love fantasy, and been playing AOS since the very beginning. Remember playing in the first event over here in Sydney, and it was 3 people, and we were playing 50 wounds, so that was fun.
So you played after Age of Sigmar dropped, and you were only using wounds.
Yeah.
Wow.
So literally from the beginning, I wanted to get back into Warhammer, but didn't have any of my stuff from moving over from the UK because it was pretty much. I think I moved over the summer that the world died. And yeah, the summer when Manfred decided to be a dick that summer, and it was like
he was such a dick in those books, wasn't he?
I'm just gonna I'm gonna go through my rebellious emo phase now and just fucking stab someone in the back so that everybody has a tantrum. So that was what I did last summer, and yeah, just kind of moved on and thought, I'll pick up some Stormcast then, and so I have something to do. Went on the odd day where it is a bit cloudy over here, and yeah, kind of never really looked back. And now I have way too many armies, and I can never do them all because I literally, within about a space of an hour, have probably said, "Oh yeah, I'm really going to do my Daughters of Cain next," and "Oh, actually, I think KO are really cool. Oh, but I do want to finish my Nurgle. Oh, and now I'll build up all my Nighthorn." So yeah, I kind of never really get anything finished.
You sound like every hobbyist, right? That's the perfect description of all of us. I'm actually sat here right now talking to you and live. So if anyone's listening or watching live, thanks for checking the show out. Thanks to everyone on Twitch and Patreon who helps us make the show. I'm currently painting up some Chaos Dwarves because I'm hopefully killing 2 birds with 1 stone. So I like asking people. I'm glad you've already covered that. Where were you when the world fell, right? So you've already answered that. You were in Straya when the world blew up. So you've been playing since the beginning. Age of Sigmar, since it's come out, you've been in love with it, the movement and how it all works.
Yeah, I think I was in that fortunate position. I think because I had no friends, and I had no Warhammer or anything with me, but I kind of wanted something to like kill time, so I started listening to podcasts. So I felt like I was doing Warhammer without actually playing it, and I was kind of listening to all the podcasts and stuff like Hail and Hammer, I guess, when they were still around, and just all these podcasts talking about the importance of playing the scenarios and kind of playing the missions. And so I guess I didn't have that like negative play experience of someone that was continued 8th and then just played a game and kind of pushed everything into the middle and went, oh, it's just 4s and 4s and this took 7 hours and we did nothing. It was I was able to, like, the first game I had, I'd been listening to podcasts about tactics and everything like that, so I just kind of went straight in on the positive side of it. I never really had any of those negative experiences. I mean, playing wounds, when you first game you play someone that's got a prime and he only costs 8 wounds, you're like, oh, he's the equivalent of 4 of my liberators. Okay, cool. But
okay,
so, yeah,
not cool.
There was a little bit of imbalance there. But then when the dude you play just decides to kill your model because he wants to use his toy, and you're like, okay, but you've also killed your model that had to survive to win the scenario, so I've just won the game. Thanks, mate. It kind of doesn't matter. So
yep.
It was just fun. Just fun, really. Just playing since the start, and then obviously went through all of MoComp and then South Coast Points, and yeah, literally I've kind of just been here in Sydney, kind of helping grow the scene and just be a part of it since the start. And we've gone from 3 people to like 220 people events, which is pretty fucking sweet. It's
very fucking sweet. Let's talk about. I got a little bit vocal about how sweet it was on Monday's show. I think what's most impressive, and we'll get onto that subject in a minute, about the Australian Age of Sigmar scene specifically, is it's been, you guys have got to pay a lot for your models. You don't get any support from Games Workshop as far as I'm aware. You guys have just at the moment, yeah. But you guys have been out there kicking it on your own, working really hard, developing your community, and from everyone who I've ever talked to from over your neck of the woods, they sound like they're just having a barrel of laughs and playing really good Warhammer. And you can't really beat both of those two experiences, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of characters over here, and we've got quite a few people that are doing their thing regularly and definitely helping to boost the scene, which I think you get in any country. Like, you have to have those people that are willing to put the time in, mainly just because they want to see a scene, they want to have a scene that they can play in. It's, to be honest, the only reason we do it. It's not like we're like, oh yeah, this will be fun, let's just waste loads of my time for nothing. Yeah, it's really nice to have seen more and more people jumping on and doing different things as well. Like, there's so much you can do these days. You've got obviously YouTube channels and reviews. You've got Doom and Darkness, he's down in South Australia. The Heralds of War guys up in Brisbane, or Toowoomba, they're kind of the main guys that really started the scene off here. And Clint has kind of really pushed that and set up the rankings, like master system for over here. And obviously CanCon is the event that we have in Australia, so he's the driving force behind that. So yeah, it's pretty good.
There you go. Yeah. I'm actually talking to Clint later.
Oh, wicked.
Later in my day, I'm talking to Clint. So if you guys listen to the podcast back, the podcast almost immediately after this, we'll be talking to another Australian who will sound even more Australian than this Australian.
Yeah, he'll actually sound Australian instead of some weird British person that kind of has a twang every now and then.
So just let you know, there's someone in the chat, Twitch of Azilia, one of my favourite people. He's just said the Mortally Wounded podcast is a great podcast. Do more, says Twitch of Azilia. So,
thanks. Yeah, I'm a bit slack on that. I don't ever want to subject anyone to just me talking at them for like 2 hours, so I always have to have a host. And James, my co-host James, is in the Navy, so he's been away quite a lot. So it's just trying to get people to sit down and record with me. Like, much like you, it's hard to just lock people in a room sometimes.
It's challenging, which is why I developed the ability to just waffle rubbish on my own sometimes. I'm not overly sure people appreciate that, but I keep.
I think I think you have charisma and are likable enough, though. Whereas if I do it, people would just fall asleep.
I don't think that's true, but I dare the internet to tell me different. That's basically my approach. Yeah. I remember when I left Warhammer Live. This is a quick tangent. I'm sorry, but I left Warhammer Live, and someone put a post up on one of the Facebook groups and was just like, "Oh, it's really sad." And something like that. And then someone just wrote, "I didn't care for him. He spoke too much." Yeah. And I was like, that's great. I just liked his comment and I went, "You go, fella. You have your feelings." Yeah.
Please tell me more about how you hate me.
I was like, that's fine. I don't mind. Yeah, you be you. So that made me laugh loads. So obviously you do the Mortally Wounded podcast, and you're over there in Australia. So you've just been at an event, and you've got another event that's really important to talk about. So let's talk about the important event, shall we?
Yeah, CanCon.
CanCon.
CanCon, mate.
CanCon, mate. Fact. So do you want to tell me what CanCon is? We're going to be hearing it from Clint as well, but I really want to express to people how incredibly impressed I am by the Australian community. And that's not meant to be anything other than like a big enthusiastic cuddle from me across the seas. So yeah, tell me what it's about.
Yeah, so CanCon is probably the biggest like wargaming convention that they have in Australia. So it's every year on the Australia Day long weekend, which is end of January over here, and it's been running for like over 20 years, I think. And basically the actual event it's the AOS event at CanCon, so it's Call to Glory, but it's literally more than doubled in size every year. So I think the first year we had like 46 people, and then last year it was 104, which I think at the time was the second largest in the world. So it was the same weekend as loads of stuff. I think like LVO and
I remember covering it. Well, covering the results at least, and just being super impressed by how many people there were.
Super impressed because Dispossessed Dan came 7th with some short men.
And now I know him better. I know that it wasn't really a Dispossessed army, but I'll never say that out loud. It was actually an 8-wound dude that just kills everything, hiding out in a dwarf mech suit. But yeah, it was. So it was 104 last year, and now this year, so it was 150 tickets, which sold out in 4 hours, I think, and then Clint added 30, and they sold out in like 20 minutes, and then he's added another 20, and they've sold out. So now we're up to 220. Whoa! It broke 200. Last I heard it was 200. I didn't know it broke 200, so it's 220.
I'm pretty sure it's 220 now.
Oh, that's fucking fantastic. That's so good.
I think he pretty much read the article saying Blood and Glory is going to be 200 players and went, nah, fuck that, 20 more.
It's also not going to be 200 players. That's an article that lies.
Okay.
But also still good on him. Because also what's really important is that was done off the back of just all yours. You guys sound like you got such a thriving community, and it's so healthy, and it's so just so really positive. And you all really hate one of my really close friends, Mark Wildman, which I love more. Like. That doesn't make it worse, it makes it better for me. I'm like, yes, he is a dick.
I don't hate Mark. I've got no issues with him. I don't think other people hate him either. I think there was issues in a game, but hey, at the end of the day, we're all playing toy soldiers, so I think we can all calm the fuck down sometimes.
I think we all sometimes can calm the fuck down, but I still like it. No, in fact, I changed my mind, Chris. Yeah, I'm flaming the rage on this particular issue because the obvious plan, is to make Mark Wildman, and Dan do a showdown. That's a grudge match.
Oh,
there you go. An international grudge match. So we need to fan the flames because actually, something I'm going to reveal to you now, this is a lie, is that he's been just talking shit about all of Australia, Mr. Mark Wildman. Like all of it. He's like, your sand's real dusty. What did he say? Your beer's weak. I don't know if that's a strong, but so I think you just need to be aware of that and maybe hate him more.
Okay. Well, he's playing a lot of 40k at the moment anyway, so my opinion has gone down.
I'm going to get Mark on the show and get him insulting everyone, and then I'm going to invite Dan back and get him insulting Mark, and I'm going to make it I'm going to make it a real serious grudge match. You know that in the UFC where they stand there and they do the fist thing. Only it's a much more pathetic version of that.
It's going to be the Warhammer version of McGregor versus Khabib.
So CanCon's going to be.
Dan is part Irish, so that could work.
Oh my god, I'm so excited about this. We're so making something happen here.
Is Mark a wrestler secretly?
He's a gay wrestler. Like, if Dan's even remotely cute, Mark will be all over him in a very #MeToo way. So just be aware.
Dan does judo, so yeah.
So he's also gay. That's great. I never knew. If that joke went by the wayside, I really enjoyed that as a gag. I used to.
I think I might not have heard that. I think my headset might have cut out.
Oh, sorry.
Don't apologise for being funny.
I don't know if that's what it was, but I was going for it. All right, so the CanCon last year, who was CanCon won by? Do we know?
Yeah, so that was won by Adam Burt, or as we like to call him, Adam Burke, with the #shitlist, which is kind of my fault that originated, because I did the order list review for that, and I read his list and went, yeah, I just think it's a bit shit, and then he won, and I had to eat my words, because I was one of the chumps that he beat in winning it, so yeah.
Oh my god! Sorry, I always spat my coffee out everywhere. That's one of those things that I sometimes worry about, like when I do the list review shows or like before a tournament, and I go, oh, I hope that doesn't win it. That's going to be embarrassing. Or sometimes you look at a list and you go, what does that do?
Yes. So yeah, if you're anywhere on Twitter whenever there's lists or anything coming out for one of our events, and you see #shitlist, that's basically because of me being a dick, and yeah, apparently getting my shit kicked in by a list that I didn't think was that great, and yeah, oh well. He's a very good player, and yeah, so I was eating my words. Turns out 8 Dracoths in 4-2 are actually quite good. Who knew?
What was it? 8 Dracoths and?
It was a 15 drop, no battalion Stormcast list. So it was like 2 units of Tempestus, 2 units of Fulminators, and then like a Castellan, a Heraldor, a Celestin, a Relictor, 3 5s of Liberators, Adjudicators. Yeah, it was just a load of stuff, and I was kind of like, he didn't have Mirror Shield, and this was in the meta of like shooting Mortal Wounds, Skyfires, etc.
Yeah.
And Zinch Magic and Bale Winds, and I was just like, he will just come up against somebody that will shoot his 5 wound Lord Celestin off the table with Mortal Wounds, and then he's lost Staunch Defender, and he's not got the bodies, and he's just going to lose. And yeah, it turns out it didn't happen.
I had a very similar experience. Hi, Hooker Pin. I had a very similar experience in 40k recently, where I was like, my list is designed to be all Imperial Knights, and I went to an event, and it must have been 20% Imperial Knights, the entire event, and over 5 games I played 0, and I was like, brilliant. This is just my luck.
Was that the event where you played Orcs for a turn
for fucking 13 weeks? I'm still playing him now, actually. I took
your move, mate.
Yeah,
okay, I'll see you next week.
I took his passport off him and I went, #Brexit this, and then he was like, "What?" He obviously didn't understand me because he doesn't speak English. And if you guys want to know more about that, please listen to the show where I had a small complaint, but not a large one. It's just a passing moment of frustration. So, Mortally Wounded podcast and CanCon. CanCon's going to be a massive deal. I'm very excited because Clint was nice enough to try and organise a GoFundMe for me to go over there. So, depending on how that goes and how much money I have at the time, that would be a dream for me to head over there and see you guys.
Yeah, I think that would be amazing, and I don't think we'll have any worries like completing that Patreon.
Oh wow!
So yeah, I think it would be amazing if you could come over.
Well, and what was really nice, Clint was like, "Do you want to work or do you want to play?" And I was like, "I want to work. Like, I want to put all of that to. I want to put all of that. I want to, I want to put all that showcase. I want to showcase. I want to spend as much time and effort and love on showcasing that to the best of my ability, because you guys out there just deserve it, in my opinion. Plus, seem like a great laugh. So that would be really exciting. So I'm personally very excited for CanCon, and even if for whatever reason I never are able to make it over there this year, at some point I plan to, no matter what the situation. That would be really, even if me and Nathan have to build some sort of raft and row ourselves over, which will be totally our next plan.
Just commit a crime and they'll ship you over for free.
Yes, I don't know if they do that anymore, but I hope they do.
No, to be fair, I think it's the opposite now. I think if people commit a crime here, they send them to the UK.
Yeah, that's fair with me. That's fine. I don't mind. And then, but then you were also at an event recently, weren't you? Just gone.
Yes. Well, I've been at loads recently, but yeah, Sydney GT was this weekend, just gone. So that was run by the coach himself, Anthony Magro.
Mm-hmm. Oh, thank God you've said it. I've never known how to say his last name. Anthony Magro.
Magro, yeah.
Oh my God, I've read
just
it.
Just like aggro, but with an M.
Yeah, when he decided he was going to change it to AO's coach as his Twitch channel, I was like, this is so much easier to say. Thank you so much. I'm so much happier about this. So yeah, and it looked like it was a really cool event. But what did you take? Because you were a naughty boy, and I love this list, by the way. Before we go any further.
So this was a joke list, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I took Dreadwood again. I'm taking it a lot at the moment because Sylvaneth are finally in a great place.
Well, so like I'm going to stop you there for a sec, and we'll carry on.
Okay.
But did you see the stats showed that we happened on Monday, or have you had a chance to catch up?
Not yet. I've seen that it came out, but I haven't had a chance to listen yet.
Okay. Well, did you at least see the document that we put up?
I saw that. I think Sylvaneth had got another 5+ wins.
Yes, somewhere, but they overall statistically, and this is, and if you guys are listening and going, and I don't necessarily agree with all the stats that you see on the piece of paper, as in they're all actual factual stats, but I don't think they're a fair representation of some of the factions, is what I'm trying to say.
No, 80% of the great Phoenix Temple is just Tomlin being a boss. So.
I think you'll find it should be 100%, and Tomlin's actually really shit. Those are my thoughts. How anyone loses with Frostart Phoenix is fucking anyone's guess. He must have been asleep at the wheel.
He's not got enough wizards. That's why.
Okay, well, the enemy's got wizards though, right?
Yeah, true. Just fly it in a gash and be like, cheers, mate.
Yeah, cast some spells. Are we in the realms? Let's go. Yeah, so... But Sylvaneth aren't doing great based on that chart. So, and that's all I was going to try and bring up. But you don't think that is a fair... Do you not think that percentage on the chart...
No.
Good. All right, well then,
no.
Please continue.
I think they are. I think they're in an amazing place right now. They were doing really well at Sydney GT all weekend. There was at least 3 of us in the top tables room like the entire weekend. I think they just... I don't know. I don't know if people are just playing them how they used to, maybe just like those people that bought Kurnoth Hunter bow spam, and now you just can't quite get as many, and they're still just playing Null Root, maybe, which is a bit of a shame if they are, because I think so many battalions in that book are super viable now. Alariel is amazing, and I think you pretty much just always take her because she's so cheap now for what she does. Like she's such a force multiplier in that army with her command ability and the free summoning. So yeah, and 3 spells as well just helps you get all those chances to set your woods off. And also people are just fucking scared of her. So like they'll do anything they can to try and kill her. So you can play to that. Like, and she's so fast you can stick her out on the side, nowhere near objectives, and people can't ignore her. So they'll kind of walk away from objectives to go and deal with her. So you can just put 5 spike revs on an objective and be like, "Cheers, mate."
Yeah, perfect. I've been talking about those units. And I keep describing them as bully units.
Yeah.
Like
she completely is. She can fluff it as well. Like people most of the time are more scared of her than they need to be. Like I've charged her into 20 bloodletters, being like, "Oh yeah, she should wipe these out." "Oh no, I've rolled 4 2s. Oh, and now she's dead. Cool." But so yeah, she's super swingy, so you don't kind of rely on her. But people are just so scared of her, and she can do work, so it's really nice if you can play her defensively. Like on the weekend, I got charged by 3 Dracoths. I just sat her in a wood, so there was only space for one of them, and then she took 4 wounds, and then she did 15 wounds back and took the unit off in 1. Which
Wow.
was quite nice. But yeah, otherwise she'll fly into Bloodletters, kill 5, and then die. So it's swingy. But yeah, no, I think they're super strong. So I've been playing Dreadwood at the moment just because it's the one that I wanted to play when the book came out from like 2 years ago, but couldn't do it, and then could do it, but it wasn't great, and now it's really good. To be honest, it's too obvious, and I kind of wish it wasn't as obvious.
I remember. I remember
the spice going down.
Yeah, and also becoming battle line, right?
Yeah. So that was the main issue before, was because they weren't battle line, you had to take 4 units of them, and then still had to do your battle line. You just couldn't do a list with them. But now they're 4 units of battle line, and they're 70 points each. Their Spike Reds are incredible. Like honestly, they're so good.
So yeah, tell me about your experience with them, because that seems to be, a lot of people. So if you guys aren't aware, the reason that the Dreadwood as a battalion is so good, in my opinion, and obviously feel free to correct me because you're the player with it, is because of the battalion gives you as well as the command points and the artifacts. It gives you the access to be able to redeploy units in the first turn, have it so that people can't even hurt you on the first turn outside of 12 inches, which just seems incredible. And I don't know how useful you find that. Or make a free move in a turn, which is obviously amazing with Alarielle because she's moved 14?
16.
Oh, Jesus, okay.
Yeah.
So is that like? Would you say
she's the Usain Bolt of the Sylvaneth world?
So how's your experience been with the Spike? How's your experience been with the battalion, and then how's your experience been with the Spike Revs?
So battalion, the most important. To be honest, the range limiting is the one I use the least. I'm always going first unless somebody outdrops me. Which nobody seems to see the importance of low drops anymore, but with more and more Sylvaneth around, if anybody had gone first this weekend, it basically increases their chances of winning massively, because I can't get board control, but it never happens, even with taking 3 Heraldors in the list to be 4 drops. The lowest drops I played was 8, so I could always go first, and I always will. Every single turn I had 7 woods on the table turn 1. And it just gives you so much control. But the battalion, basically, I'm always using the redeploy or the move. Most of the time, I'll probably end up using the move, I found, just because when I first was toying with the battalion, I was kind of always trying to bank on getting 2, and I'd be setting up so that if I only rolled 1, I kind of wasn't in a great position. I was always tossing up between, do I want to teleport 1 unit or do I want to move some? Whereas now I've got to the point where I probably can do more just from the move, because as you say, Lariel's so fast anyway. Moving her once is pretty much the same as redeploying her 6 away anywhere on the board. So given that she can move again anyway in your actual turn, so you can, wherever you put her on the board, she can be 32 inches away at the end of your first movement phase, which is incredible. So yeah, it's kind of, if I roll all 3, great. If I was playing a gun line, even then I don't think I would need to use the range limiting, because now the Wildwood's block line of sight. I just use that.
Wow, yeah, that's a good point.
And you just keep Alarielle back, and just wait and use her as a counter charge piece. But yeah, mainly I've been using the move or the redeploy. I quite like redeploying a line of 20 Dryads 6 away from my opponent's army, tailing to a Wildwood and just sitting them there 10-1 and just being like, have fun getting through that. I'm just going to sit on the objectives.
They're so much tankier than people give them credit for.
Yeah. So I played a Nurgle guy game 4 on the weekend, and he obviously castled up because everyone's scared. That's the thing as well. I think everyone's scared of the Dreadwood because they just see the Dreadwood as an alpha strike because of that 6-inch redeploy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the way most people have been playing it is just going in combat alpha strike, but I actually don't play it that way. I have Kernel Hunters with bows in my list, and I use Alarielle, and I more just use it for the flexibility. But he'd castled up with Plague Bearers. It was a massive debuff list, so he had Hellstriders, Plague Bearers, minuses to hit, coming out the wazoo. But he castled up with everything kind of within 3 of his front line of Plague Bearers, so I just put my wood down in the middle of the board, set up my Dryad 6 away, moved them to 3 away on my first turn, charged them. We're playing in the Realms, I think it was Hish, and one of the spells, the spell they'd chosen was -1 to hit. So I cast that onto my Dryads next to a wood and just went, well, I'm -2 to hit. Your Plague Bearers are like -2 to, or -3 to hit. So let's just have a game of roll 6s, and I'll just pin you in your deployment zone.
That's awful. You just backed up.
Yeah, pretty much. He actually got through them quicker than I thought. But yeah, basically I was like, well, I'm just going to line 20 Dryads in front of your army, -2 to hit, and we'll just poke each other for a while.
A slap fight, as I once saw it described when I saw 2 in the previous edition of Age of Sigmar, when I saw 2 Fire Dwarf, what are they called? I'm very tired. What? They're not called Fire Dwarfs. Thank you so much. Fire Slayers play against each other, and they were like, how was your game? They were like, have you ever just slapped someone for 2.5 hours and they slapped you to tickles? And I was like, wow, okay. That's pretty funny. But so the Dreadwood, and what about the Spite Revs? How are you finding the Spite Revs?
I think they're amazing just from what's on their war scroll. So the battalion that you have to take Dreadwood, it may as well just say, go have a drink. Like, it never does anything. But I think in all the games I've played, I've maybe done 1 mortal wound with it. I don't even look at it anymore, to be honest. It's just everything that's amazing about them, which is their battle shock manipulation, is on their war scroll. People just, for people that don't know, any terrain that's within 8 inches of any Spite Revs is haunted, and any enemy battle shock test that's taken within 3 inches of haunted terrain is 2 dice, and they have to use the highest result. And it's just amazing because you play against Plague Bearers or anything like that that's trying to get 1s to get models back. And even if they roll a 2 and a 1, great, you've stopped them getting models back, even if they don't run away. And for what, like, you're playing low bravery stuff. Like, I played Skaven on the weekend, and they hate battle shock, obviously, because they've got crap bravery. Yeah. And then you roll 1 dice and it's a 2, and I'm like, yeah, sorry, that piece of terrain there is haunted from my Spite Rev that's like 20 inches away from your unit, but because of the terrain feature and where you are, you've got to roll another dice for battle shock, and you've just rolled a 5 and your unit's run away. Yeah. So they just, for 70 points, you don't need, and then you're -1 bravery if you're within 3 of them as well, so I can put them behind Colonel Hunter screens and just have them negatively impacting battle shocks. And then if I'm in a wood, obviously that wood is being haunted, so they're still given their battle shock thing. I would put them in pretty much any Sylvanet list, because like any of those 1-drops, you can just slot them in. Even if it was just 1 unit for 70 points, that battle shock manipulation is just amazingly powerful.
And I imagine with everything else that you have in your army, they're so low down on people's priority list the first time they play your army, and then it's only when they have units running away that they realise their mistake, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Like I say, Ilariel's there. People aren't going to be looking at 5 Spite Revs. They're just going to be looking at her on a massive beetle. And then the same with the Colonel Hunters. The Dryads are usually in their way. I just love having the 4 units. The 4 units of Spites as well. They just give me so much like board control in terms of zoning other armies. Like I play Stormcast. Anything that's trying to drop 9 away, Nighthaunt. I'm going first. I take turn 1, cover the board with woods, and then I'll just deploy. I always put all 4 units of Spites in the trees when I'm deploying, so that in my first movement phase I can drop them down wherever I need them to be, where I've put woods on the table, and I just will spread out and make massive null deployment space, as I call it, like in the middle of the board. So if any of those drop armies want to pop up, they can. I'm not trying to zone the entire board, but they can pop up in a corner, and generally they're quite slow. So if someone wants to drop 10 evocators from the sky, they can, but it's going to be in the corner of the board, nowhere near me, and the first thing they're going to kill is 5 Spite Revs, which I don't care about anyway, and then I'll just countercharge with Ilariel.
That's a pretty good counter charge. Yeah. Also talking about dropping units bravery, one of the big things Zangor Jack in the chat has just said Dreadwood is some rage-inducing shit, man. One of the things that's a big deal here in the UK, at least at the minute, is everyone keeps talking about Ideth Deepkin and all of the eels in the world. And a lot of people forget, I think it's quite important to remember, that they're actually only bravery 6, and people are usually running them in units of 9. So being able to drop their bravery or make them take battle shock tests on 2 dice and then have them lowered by 1 is such a big deal. So you might really be able to affect that unit in a pretty massive way, right? I don't know if you've played against those yet, but they...
I love playing that. I love playing elite stuff now because I'm always sitting in my woods on objectives. So if someone wants to charge me, I'm just like, cool, let's roll some dice. Oh, you've rolled some 1s, just take that model off. Like, the wood, the Sylvaneth would still just outright kill models on 1s, and like I had three evocators charge me to kill 5 spike revs because they were a screen, and they lost. Sorry, it was a unit 10. They lost 3 running at me, charging my woods, and I was like, I'll take that. 5 spikes wouldn't kill 3, and then they battle shocked and lost another 2.
Wow, yeah, that's really good.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's really positive. But talking about Dreadwood. Yeah, it's competitive, it's strong, it's a danger to all, and beware of it if you guys are out there and playing against it. And if you're a budding Sylvaneth player, feel free to message on Twitter, Chris _welfare. Am I right?
No, it's at Wounded Mortally.
Oh, at Wounded Mortally on Twitter, or listen to
because some dude took mortally wounded like 6 years ago to make 1 tweet and then never tweet again.
What a dick. If you're listening, you're a dick. But that isn't all you did with the Dreadwood this weekend, is it, sir?
No, I thought I'd run a bit of a brass band to just give my trees some music as they played along.
So what did you do?
I took three Heraldors in a Dreadwood.
That's like all of the things I really enjoy in one place.
I think you'll appreciate their names as well, because we Anthony did a clever thing, which was how to differentiate people that read the player pack or not. And basically, the 1 point for your list submission was you have to name your characters.
Nice.
Which I never normally do, but I read the player packs, so I was like, oh, I have to name my characters. So I gave mine all tree-related names. So I had Treonce Knowles was my branch race.
Good. Yeah.
I had Willow Smith as my branch witch.
Very nice.
And then I had my 3 Heraldors were Tree Diddy, Tree MX, and Run DM Tree.
Run DM Tree is particularly good, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, that was he was my favourite. So yeah, that was fun.
Good. And in case people don't know how that works, do you want to explain to people why that's such a fun and amazing army? And how did it do?
So the Heraldors, basically, they have a shooting... Well, they do it in the shooting phase, but it's not a missile weapon, so you can run and still do it. But basically, you pick a terrain feature wholly within 18. They changed it. It used to just be pick a terrain feature within 15, but now it's wholly within 18, which is actually quite hard. You actually have to be quite close to do it.
Yeah.
And then you basically all enemy units within 3 take D3 mortal wounds. So and it's just guaranteed. You just pick the feature and blow it up, and yeah, anything that's... The great thing is they changed it to be like non-friendly, whereas it used to just be non Stormcast.
Yes.
Well, actually, I think it.
It was anything. Yeah,
it just hit everything, even Stormcast. Whereas now it's just non-friendly, which means you can put them into Sylvaneth and they're friendly, so they're not going to be hurt by you playing beautiful, beautiful brass band music into their trees. Whilst everyone else is like, "Oh, this is awful, my ears," as their head explodes.
That's amazing. So people would charge into your woods to fight over objectives, and then you would have three rappers just blow the
Pretty
forest
much.
up.
Yeah, just giving them some really like full explicit rap lyrics, and they're just like, their minds are melted, and they just can't handle it.
Oh, we've had some. Slanice in the chat has just put the lead rapper could be Revenant Run. Also, the Treasty Boys.
Oh, that's good.
That's good.
They collectively could have been known as the Treasty Boys.
Yeah, and also Zagor Jax also just put the Notorious B.I. Tree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also,
that was one that I came up with in the name phase, but decided.
Oh, you decided not to use it.
Yeah, I'll have to take 4, and then I can add Notorious B.I. Tree.
So how did using the Heraldas and blowing stuff up go for you?
It honestly wasn't as over the top crazy as people thought. They read the list, I think, and were like, "Oh, this is going to be horrific." As we've just talked about, people will be running into the trees all the time, and they'll be going off and doing crazy amounts of mortal wounds. But in actuality, it didn't happen that much. I was blowing them up a bit, but in terms of them being useful, that wholly within 18 does hurt, especially when wildwoods actually themselves are quite big. So you generally need it to be quite close. Most of the time, turn 1, I was never in range to blow up any terrain that my opponent was nearby. So turn 1, they weren't doing anything. But then, yeah, I mean, against some Stormcasts, completely, they came into my woods in the middle. Characters and evocators on foot were all around them. Having all 3 alive, I knew that I couldn't fail to do at least 3 mortal wounds to each unit, and their hero blew himself up with his suicide incanter vest, and he only had 2 wounds left, so it was quite nice knowing no matter what I did, he was going to die next turn. There was a few times I did 8 mortal wounds, but that was against flesh eaters, so they all just come back anyway.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. Yeah, I mean, it's good. If I played really elite stuff, and I've been in really good positions, I think they had the potential to go crazy, and people were really worried about them. But in actuality, I don't think they did crazy amounts.
But did that mean in conjunction with L'Ariel, which you're using to bully the board, and also AOS coaches in the chat right now? So big shout out. We're talking about the Sydney GT. Whoop, whoop. Did you find that you were able to control the position of the game quite well because people didn't really know where to run to, if that makes sense?
It's a weird one, yes and no. I'd say I wasn't really controlling the position of the game because everyone I was playing knew where the objectives were, and they were trying to be on the objectives. I guess I just punish people for being on the objectives because I put my woods on or as close to the objectives as I can. And it's more just everybody knows the inevitable kind of charge into an unfavourable situation because I've castled up. There's woods on all of, if not most of, the objectives. My Heraldos are sitting behind those woods ready, and then I basically just, once someone's there, then I just punish them.
With the power of music.
Yeah. Pretty much. Let's turn the volume up, motherfuckers.
So how did you do at the tournament with that army?
So I won all 5 games, but only 2 of them were minors. One of them, to be honest, the first game I should have got a major loss as soon as it hit battle round 3 because we were playing old school Blood and Glory. There was a mix of kind of all the 18 scenarios. So and I was playing a horde of pestilence rats that had 70 giant rats and 120 plague monks.
Nice.
And the one thing that the list doesn't have is a lot of bodies. So I kind of was expecting, and he had cogs. So I was just like, he's just going to run across the board, and no matter what I do, he can just charge, and he'll have more models around the objective. And as soon as we get to round 3, he'll just get the major. As it happened, he was 1 model away due to failing a battle shock test. He lost 1 too many models on his turn 3 to get the major, and then I killed stuff and shot it, and then ended the game with 3 of the 4, so I got the minor win. And then, but yeah, I don't think I should have won that game, to be honest. And then the other minor, the guy, I messed up on my 3rd turn. Basically, I could have just stopped him getting some points, and I would have got a major, but. Yeah, that went down to kill points, and yeah, I had more. That was the Nurgle grind game.
Yeah,
which is weird to get more kill points against Nurgle. But
yeah, that is quite a challenge, realistically. Especially with yours is a fairly elite, yours is an elite army killing list, isn't it? Am I right? As opposed to a horde killing list.
Yeah, it definitely prefers to play elite armies. It can struggle with hordes, but at the same time, if they're hordes of crap and you don't throw a layer, if you're clever with Lariel, which I wasn't in the first game, because I was just like, oh, I don't really care. This is a bit of a joke list. Let's just charge her in. That was completely the wrong thing to do, because she does actually die very, very, very easily if you put her into the wrong thing. So I just threw her away. So if you lose her early, you can't deal with the hordes. But if you're clever with her and you just use her as counter-charging and stuff like that, she will absolutely wreck hordes because of the 5 damage per attack and just being in combat. Your turn, their turn. And generally, hordes aren't great at killing if they can't get all their models into bear. So you can kind of just block stuff up, hit them on the end of a unit, and then just do 20 damage to a unit and watch it disappear, and then hit another unit. So the list can deal with lots of high wound count, high model count crap, but you just have to play it right.
Yeah, it sounds it. I just want to say a big shout out to Velatron on the show, to say thank you very much for donating 1,000 bits to the show. Really appreciate that. He's excited about my latest conversion project for Age of Sigmar. I'm going to get an exalted Greater Demon of Khorne riding a war mammoth. Yeah, that should be. It's pure psychological warfare. It's look at this giant thing, and people are like, I best kill that, and I'll be like, it's only there for you to kill it instead of the other stuff I want you to kill.
It's when you look at stuff like that and go, I've probably got too much money on my hands, haven't I, really?
Well, it's just more I've got too much stuff left over from when I had too much money left in my hands.
Yeah. That'd be your Heraldors would have been interesting to play with all the woods. Your Phoenix and what is it? A Phoenix and a Griffin.
It's actually just a Knight Heralder on a very scenic base. It's on a dragon on a Phoenix, but it's technically just a Knight Heralder on a 40mm base. I did at that time.
It's tabletop legal completely.
It's 100% tabletop legal. Correct
base size and all.
Do you know what I mean? And you measure to the base. Hello, Age of Sigmar 2. So anyone who's got a complaint, I don't want to hear it. My thoughts. So Chris, wrapping up. I'm so sorry, but I have to go to work and DJ. And sorry to everyone on the Twitch chat. I'd love to bend your ear again, and in quicker than it's taken me to get around to do it this time, because that would be really good. Have you got anyone you want to do a shout out to? Anything you want to plug or tell people about? Because it would be cool to hear it.
I mean, yeah, if you want to hear more, if you want to hear me talk more about trees and Warhammer in general, Mortally Wounded is obviously the podcast I do, but the main thing really over here is CanCon and Call to Glory, which it sounds like you're going to be talking to Clint in detail about that anyway. So yeah, I would say to people get tickets, but to be honest, I don't think you can, unfortunately, because it's sold out at 220 people. But yeah, just I think watch that, and yeah, hopefully if you can get over, then people will be able to see some coverage of that, which would be awesome. But thanks for having me on to chat. I'm happy to chat whenever you've got time. So hopefully you can play some Run DMT in your DJ set tonight.
Hopefully. I would. I'd love to have you on to talk over some stuff. I'm sure there's loads. I want to know how you feel about secondaries in Age of Sigmar now. Quick thoughts, good, bad?
Good, because I definitely think it should be more than just kill points, because it favours certain types of armies. So yeah, I think it's cool, but I probably don't want to see tournaments just use those. I like that there's different things that like TOs and player packs will do. I like variation, so
couldn't agree more. Like Beast Chaos book, pumped, not pumped?
I haven't actually had a chance to look at it yet. I think it's cool, but beasts have never really been a thing for me, so not one I'll be jumping on.
Are you an order player generally?
I think at the moment I've probably played order mostly, just because I started with the Stormcast and then really liked the Sylvaneth, but I've got everything, to be honest. I've been playing a lot of Khorne. This year was supposed to be the year of Chaos, and next year is going to be the year of Death, so I've been playing Khorne. I've built up and I've started painting my Nurgle, but I've also built up pretty much my entire Nighthaunt army. So yeah, I play pretty much everything other than Destruction. I'm not really a Destruction player, unfortunately.
Oh wow. Nathan, I know you're not listening to this podcast ever, but
yeah,
if you
sorry,
are,
triggered.
It's all right. He doesn't listen. He's a dick. What was I going to say? And then finally, if you had to pick one faction to be a team member of for the year, so not Grand Alliance but faction, which faction are you going to choose?
For next year to play?
No, just for the from now until the next year, you got one faction to be a team member of. Whose team are you on? Who are you rooting for to win all the events for the next year until the next General's Handbook? Let's say.
Oh, so the faction I want to do is Character on Overlords, because I actually think they're being massively overlooked at the moment, which is a risque choice. But Seraphon, I just want to see someone take triple Snake Basti more and just do a good job with it.
It's just the best build. You just have as many snakes as you can. Yeah. Also, finally, sorry, I said that was final, but this is quite an interesting one. When we did like the stat analysis based on region for factions that are played around the world, interestingly, the lowest played army were the Iron-Deepkin in Australia. And my question for you is it because you guys just hate anything that lives in the water?
It might be, because it'll fucking kill you. Yeah, I think I've been surprised. There are more people doing Deepkin. I think it takes people a bit longer here, which is nice to see. Generally, I think there's less kind of propensity, I guess, to just go out and, I'm going to say, net list. People generally won't just go and buy an army because stuff, I think it is maybe because stuff is so expensive, won't go out and just buy 27 eels or however many eels it is and just spray them and get them on the table. Like, people actually want to do a good job. So the one Deepkin army I know of really, really painted. Yeah. I know there's more people working on them, but because they're such a nice looking army and people want to paint them nicely, I think it's just taking a while. But yeah, I'm surprised that there aren't more. I know of quite a lot of people that have them working on. But yeah, it does seem to just take a bit longer for the newer armies to get on the table over here than it does maybe in the UK.
Yeah. Good call. Definitely. I can 100% know what you mean. And actually, it's that's why I've got so much love for the Australian community. Realistically, is because you guys, like you said, you do pay a lot more, depending on how you want to define it. But because of that, you guys tend to stick with armies for longer, play them better, learn more. It's literally that conversation I've had with a couple of Australians that have led me to be on the I'm only going to play an army for a year bandwagon. So, a really good call. And it's nice to see that you guys also got a big thriving hobby as well. I'm really sorry I got to go. It's been a pleasure. Everyone on Twitch, if you want to say thank you to Chris, and go follow him and share it out and stuff, that'd be really cool. Thank you, Fellatron, for donating some bits, people for subscribing. Thanks to everyone on Patreon that helps me keep the show going. Like we said, you guys are going to be very proud of what your money's being used for in the next couple of months. So that'd be cool. Chris, thank you again.
No, awesome. Cheers. Thanks for having me on, Rob.
My pleasure. And as always, thank you, everyone, and we'll see you soon. Goodbye.